This is a day to remember 39 people killed in Minnesota last year because of domestic violence. This morning at St. Paul College Club, the victims' names were read and there was a moment of silence. Here's a look at the emotional gathering.
Gathering the data this year, at least 49% of the 39 people were people of color, Indigenous, Black, Latino. So that was 19 out of 39. There was 11 women and 8 men this past year. Speaking as an Anishinaabe woman and a Latina, I remember before becoming an advocate, hearing the statistics of 1 in 3 Native women will be raped in their lifetime. We have the highest rates of being murdered, that we have a murdered and missing office. We are starting a Black women and girls murdered and missing office. Minnesota is leading in the ways that we need to lead to make sure that our communities are safer, that we acknowledge that the harms are being done, and we can do better in Minnesota. I also want to stress the need for community-based advocacy programs that help and support our communities and our people who are trying to escape violence. That work is not easy. I did it for many years. And it takes a special kind of bravery and a special kind of heart to do that work.
We know that gender-based violence, domestic violence, as people try to keep it behind closed doors, it tumbles out into the streets, into our neighborhoods, into our communities, and that each of us has a role in disrupting it. I'm the lieutenant governor, but what's most important that you know about me today is that I'm a child witness and I'm a survivor. And I am here in this space because it took me a long time to be able to say that out loud. I became an expert in making myself extremely small because that's how I learned how to survive, to simply get out of the way. I want to be clear when I say that domestic violence impacts all of us. That's right, whether we know it or not, we are all connected to someone. It could be at your work, at your places of worship, the gym, college campuses, maybe even your friends or relatives. And what we don't talk about enough is just how pervasive and common gender-based violence and domestic violence is in our communities and to those that we love. Today's memorial is a stark and gut-wrenching reminder of the work that we must do together to disrupt the cycle of violence and continue to call out violence in all of its forms. It can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological in action, or threats of actions that can be used to harm or influence another person in a relationship. And as a state, it is going to take all of us to help break the silence around intimate partner violence by fostering continued education and information sharing across all places and spaces, the people that we work with. And when I hear that the number of people that we lost this year is higher than ever before when we've begun to measure this, that should be unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to everyone in this room, but everyone outside this room. And we have to keep talking about it. And I don't know about you, but I feel like we go in cycles. This issue of gender-based violence, the issue of domestic violence, it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows in popularity or how people are willing to talk about it. And yet, for those who are immediately impacted, it is always present, it is always urgent, and it is always there. And so that is my job as the lieutenant governor, but it also is just my job as a Minnesotan to make sure that we are talking about these issues all of the time. And we cannot forget to tell all the advocates in this space, all of the organizations and coalitions the staff at the 90 partner organizations in all 87 counties that live and breathe this work every day to continue to show up. I want you to know that I see you. The state of Minnesota sees you, and I'm here to deliver a message of just immense gratitude for all of you and the work that you do. You are the support that Minnesotans seek during their most vulnerable and fearful and desperate times. You are there for victim survivors when they may have no one else to turn to. And you're the driving force behind action, education, and societal change. And you saved the life of my mother. So you weather crisis, knowingly submit yourself to vicarious trauma when you simply show up to work. And I want to remind you to take care of yourselves and take care of your spirits as you do this work, because we need you. Please know that the governor and I are with you in this work. And every time you ask us to, we're going to show up.
It's not okay for us to continue to come here and tell the stories of those whose lives have been lost, but it is absolutely necessary that we don't forget them. I ask that today we continue to commit ourselves to building a future that honors and believes victims and survivors, and that honors and believes Black women, and that listens to them and their families.
Just within the Hmong community, since 2019, at least 5 Hmong women were shot and killed by their male partners in murder-suicides. In all of these cases, the victims were planning to leave or have recently just left their abusive relationships. Domestic violence happens in every community. It also looks different in each community because of cultural practices or beliefs. But ultimately, domestic violence is about power and control. Killing an intimate partner is the ultimate and final act of power and control. Even if no other violence is present in a relationship, the act of killing your partner is itself domestic violence. This is not a case of mental illness or mental health issue. This is an issue of domestic violence.
Keep watching CBS News Minnesota for continuing coverage.